Hey Scott, welcome to Bring Your Own Bold. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Yeah, thanks very much for having me, Dave. It's good to be here.
Great, awesome. Well, listen, I know this has been a little bit of a long time in the making. You and I have chatted a lot over the past couple of years. Mainly as much as anything because I'm such a huge fan of the work that you and your studio over at Intercom have done over the past few years, really, to kind of push forward the Intercom brand. So, first of all, massive congrats on that. Has it been a labor of love as far as you're concerned, or has every day been
Oh,
amazing?
you know how it is. Every day is amazing, smooth sailing. No, man, I really appreciate it. That means a lot to me. It's been 6 years, wonderful years at Intercom, truly. It's been an amazing journey. I remember speaking with Owen, the CEO of Intercom, early days. He told me I was going to do the best work of my career here, and he was absolutely right. And yeah, we've in being here 6 years, I've done I'll say either refreshes of a brand or branding and rebrands probably around 6 times. And most recently, we rebranded Intercom and branded Finn in the last year, our AI agent. And yeah, man, it's been an amazing experience working with exceptionally creative people, including the execs here, Owen especially, partnering with these folks and building an amazing brand slash brands here at Intercom. So it's truly been a dream come true, and that means a lot to me coming from yourself, Dave. And I can't take all the credit, of course. I have an amazing team and amazing partners, so it's been a truly blessed experience. Yeah, thank you.
I'm so glad to hear that. Working on brands is often a labor of love, but when you enjoy the process as much as you can, and you're working with amazingly creative people, it makes the job so much more enjoyable. And I really want to come on to that most recent brand refresh. Actually, obviously, the bulk of this conversation, hopefully, we're going to be talking about scaling. A brand
Mm.
identity, because again, that's something that you guys do so well. But I'd just love to start, if I can, with the story behind your most recent brand refresh, and especially taking into account the fact that it wasn't just Intercom, it was Finn as well.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can walk you through the experience. It was a couple years back now. We kicked off with Collins, so that was about in the fall of 23. We met with a bunch of different agencies, creative agencies, and we selected Collins pretty quickly. I think we felt a shared kind of creative energy with the folks at Collins, especially Nick Ace, who kind of led the experience or the rebrand on their side of the house, and Owen, myself, a few others from Intercom side, really led the charge, and Emmett Connolly, my boss. So shout out to Emmett. And important one, you don't want to forget your boss on this, Dave. Uh,
Absolutely,
a-
absolutely.
and and we kicked off with Collins, and we just felt this. They really, came in, asked all the right questions, and really worked with us as a singular team. They were very flexible, and I think that more than anything, there was a vibe, magic there, a vibe, and it was on both sides. And I think you just, when you see that or feel that, you got to go with your gut. And we worked with them for about a year to develop this brand. And the thing that established this Intercom rebrand as unique and differentiated from anything that we had done, but I think from differentiated from a lot of what other folks in the tech space are doing with branding right now, is that it was intentionally designed to be the antithesis of a brand in a box. And so we weren't out there to try to own a color palette or a typographic system or um, necessarily like a an art direction or art style that we could kind of establish and come out as a new and differentiated thing in the space, but rather much more open-ended approach. Like we really took great inspiration from the editorial magazines that you might see out there. Like if you imagine an art magazine, consistent masthead. From issue to issue, there will be kind of like a contained system of typographic system, art direction system, maybe a color palette, but the system changes over time. And we took great inspiration from this. So our brand book is more it's more about an idea, which is the brand is really built around this idea of great customer service changes everything, and we really took that idea of change as the kind of like brand idea and built from there. And so the way I like to explain it is where a typical brand is has some pretty preset rules in the way that you show up in the space. Intercom's brand is there are still rules to it, but they're much further set out. I think about it like if a typical brand is a world, it has like gravity and it's contained. The Intercom brand is like a galaxy, um, and it makes it fun. It makes it interesting. It also results in the Intercom Creative Studio, the team I run here. Um, we have to operate very differently. We operate like a true in-house creative agency, and that's because the brand is so open-ended that and there are rules to it, but the result is we do not, when we work on a brief or we receive a brief from our partners in the company, the the result in that meeting, it's not about how do we take this brief and fit it into the restrictions of our brand. It is truly how do we execute this in the most exceptional creative way possible, and that is truly where we start. So it's a very unique take on branding.
Right. I love this, by the way. I think this is fantastic. And you and I have spoken about this before in the conversations that we've had. And, my instant question, and I think what a lot, excuse me, what a lot of people out there will be really wondering is, so you get this, you work with Collins, you get this amazing visual identity that, between your team and their team, you've crafted and you've turned it into, as you say, this beyond the brand world. It's a brand galaxy. Of concepts and ideas and rules, but also not rules, as it were.
Mm.
Now, it's hard enough then to take, if you have like a really concentrated visual identity that is a lot more kind of straitjacket, if you like, it's hard enough to take that and apply it to the kind of day-to-day reality across all your kind of platforms, touch points and things like that. But when you're doing it with a brand identity like yours, how do you go about doing it? What's the kind of process, as you say, when you get a brief from one of your partners across the agency? If you could just dive a little bit into kind of what works and what doesn't across different channels and platforms, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean the truth is it is different every time. And I'll give you a very specific example. We're working on right now we're working on a an event that we've developed. This is the second year of our event. It's called Pioneer. The event is set up to be for the pioneers of the AI era. And the first year was really, I mean, this is last year now. Was really like inviting these folks that were interested. It sounds so like dated already, and it's one year in, right? This is how quickly the AI space is moving. But um, last year it was an invitation to bring out these experts in the AI space and folks who were seen as like the pioneers of the AI space, who are adopting AI early and bringing AI into the various B2B tech SaaS companies that they're working at. And we brought everyone together, and the concept there was like, okay, really worked off of this idea of these pioneers like envisioned these pioneers kind of traveling to distant land, and we worked off of this like this rising sun kind of motif or a periscope motif, which in essence was resulted in just working with geometric shapes and gradients, but it came to life in a really nice way, and the team did an amazing job. But there was a deep concept there, and skip forward to I guess it wasn't a full year later because we started working on this maybe 6 months ago, but skip forward 9 months or something, and we're going round two, and most places would go, okay, let's repurpose that great brand that we developed for Pioneer. No, not Intercom. Start fresh. What are we doing? We're doing round two of Pioneer. Okay, what is the concept? What is the idea? Last year, we had these pioneers in the AI space. They were traveling to this new distant territory that it was untracked, like no one had been there, right? This year, they're coming back. We've planted the seeds for a year in the future, and we're bringing those folks back and more to see the fruit of that labor, to see how everything has blossomed. And so this year's Pioneer event is really based on this super bloom of creativity, of growth, of technology, and with that, we leaned into this pollen idea and this like blossoming flowers idea. And so everything is very rooted in deep concept and strategy from a creative standpoint, but from a nuts and bolts standpoint, we are coming up with, we get this brief, what is the event about this year? We come up with a sound concept and strategy, multiple concepts. We put together territory boards, so we'll pull in swipe and just found art direction, as well as like a little written creative concept, like a little overview of a creative concept, and we'll house those things in Figma in an artboard, and we'll maybe do 3 or 4 of those, and then we'll meet directly with the CEO Owen, who is very much so like a creative partner, an approver for sure, but like a creative partner, an amazing like kind of creative visionary, honestly. And we'll meet with Owen, discuss, kind of pitch some of these ideas, loosely pitch, and like an agency, and work with Owen, and he'll kind of be like, there's a lot of energy here. I don't like this so much, go in this direction. This has potential. We'll go on to round two, develop, bring it back to have another conversation. And, we'll go back and forth however many times, like, that we need to get exceptional creative work out of the process. And then from there, we get a selected direction, and it's about bringing this thing to life, getting to production mode, and then it's about perfection really from there, like bringing that idea to life in execution. So that's kind of a quick and dirty kind of overview of our process. But like an agency, we do operate in a way that it's like, a lot of times it's not the easy way. It's the easy way would be, we've developed a system, it's good, let's repurpose it. Our At Intercom, there's just constant desire for the next thing. And it's not just on the creative side, it's on the product as well. We shifted the entire company to be AI first before anyone else had, and focus on our now AI product, Finn, the AI agent, the number one AI agent in the space, Dave,
I do know, actually. I was actually reading about it today. A little bit of prep for this interview, and it's a fascinating story, especially Owen coming back. And I do actually want to kind of touch a little bit on
Yeah.
kind of appreciation of design at leadership level in a bit. But I suppose I'm definitely starting to get a sense of the extent to which you guys operate very much like an agency. Obviously, a world that I know pretty well. But I guess so events is a good example of somewhere where you tend to be able to push the boat out a little bit. It's a kind of bigger, not one-off project necessarily, but obviously per year you're probably, your kind of flagship event is a real opportunity to kind of go deep into some real kind of creative, hot creative territory, I suppose. But as there are multiple other kind of channels and places where the brand needs to exist on a little bit more of a consistent, maybe slightly lower key
Mm.
basis. How do you kind of approach, as you mentioned, kind of making it the most creative it can be when maybe you don't necessarily have as much time and resource and ability to kind of push the boat out as say an event? How do you scale the brand as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, I mean, so a couple different thoughts here on this. Like our system is just to get a little bit more detailed about how we've kind of approached the unwieldy brand system that we have, because it is one of these things that I on the one hand I'm like, man, this is so different than what anyone else is doing. On the other hand, it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, it is a constant it's constant struggle to continue to do amazing, creative work and push the boundaries on it, and also keep it contained, because we don't want to do something that's so wildly different from one another. Each touch point, it's got to have some through line. And so we developed what we called the brand matrix, which is an kind of like, x axes, y axes, and we built out these four quadrants of our brand to say, we have ace the basics, we have lead them to the future, and so we have these four quadrants of our brand, and basically what we do is, based off of the brief, we decide where we kind of like pinpoint on that matrix where we want this creative to land. And to answer your point, your question rather, um, when we don't have a lot of time, when we're going we need to turn something out very quickly, we land in the bottom left quadrant of that matrix, which we refer to as ace the basics. And that is like, when you remove every aspect of the brand, what are we kind of like, what's the skeleton? And it falls, from a design standpoint, falls down to like two typefaces, medium and ivory. It's black and white. It's a very reduced hand done illustration style, exceptionally like well crafted. This is like a very important piece, exceptionally well crafted, and very very detailed and sophisticated illustration style, and a very direct and authentic tone of voice, and like that is kind of the fallback, like that, very precise line work, well restrained system, like it falls back to that territory. And that's kind of like our like safe place when we need to just move, and like it still needs to feel like Intercom. And a lot of the work that we do, not necessarily based on short timelines, ends up in that place. For instance, we've done a bunch of billboard and out of home work, and for various campaigns that we've done, and oftentimes we rely just on plain like product messaging as the message that we want to get out there. We just did for Finn, this campaign, the billboards literally say the number one AI agent. Like, it's like, what is the messaging? What are we trying to say? Finn is the number one AI agent for customer service. Great. That's the billboard. Like, it's very sincere and authentic, and that's kind of our approach.
I love it. I love it. And I can see in my mind's eye all of the creative leaders who are watching this either frantically scribbling down that matrix idea or nodding because they've got something similar. But I definitely feel that it makes so much sense. Absolutely. And are there any examples of where you kind of, let's say you've stuck something on that matrix as a kind of ace the basics, and then as you're working on it, you've realised actually we could probably push this a little bit somewhere else. We could just take it a little bit further. Do things kind of, is it fluid enough to kind of move things around?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I love that you're bringing that up, Dave, because like, working with quite frankly, the I think not that it's a competition, folks. Okay, I just want to, but it's always a competition.
It
But
is.
quite literally, like the appetite for exceptional creativity and exceptional like craft and execution here at Intercom is. I believe literally unparalleled. A lot of folks out there, a lot of companies out there uh, will say that they brand is very important to them, and I believe that, and they have maybe they have great brands. Um, it doesn't hold a candle to Intercom. The talent that we have that we've brought in house. The folks that work here are so exceptionally talented, and with that said, it's my job to working with the creative team to establish a vision or enable a vision that's had by someone else. It could come from anywhere, honestly. It could come from Owen, it could come from Emmett, it could come from the team, it could come from a salesperson. Like the creative kernel or the creative nugget can come from anywhere, but it's the ability to recognize that and then form the vision around that, like truly have a clear vision of what that creative idea is, and then to be able to um, communicate that vision to folks on the team in a way that accounts for like the least amount of data loss from me to them, and then uh, to see where they go with that, and of course, like nurture them along the way. If we do a check-in on the creative and it's getting off track, to kind of like get them back on the path to that vision. The best thing in the world to me, uh it is to be able to nurture the team or to work with the team to develop this vision. And when you have the team go off and they land in a better place than what you had clearly envisioned, is the best part of the job, quite honestly. It's like when they land in a much stronger place than the kind of very clear vision that you had shaped and then communicated, is quite literally the best part of my job. And it happens often because I'm working with such talented people.
100%, and I genuinely do see it in the work. It's immediately evident there. Those kind of standards that you set for yourselves. I mean, besides that kind of process of that kind of pushing as a creative leader yourself, is there anything else in particular that you do to kind of create an environment where your brand studio team can do their best work? Because I know that, especially since we all went remote. Some people see these things as maybe a tiny little bit harder to do when everyone's
Mm.
kind of working remotely. But obviously, I think we've navigated ways and means of kind of working in that sense now. But is there anything specific that you do to create that environment where people feel really compelled to come and do their best work, and then obviously have the ways and means of actually doing it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for one, I've been doing this. I feel like I've been doing this a long time at this point. Dave. You and I had the same amount of gray in our facial hair, so yeah. So you too, but I've quite frankly have matured as a creative leader and evolved over time. I've been part of these maybe the worst offender too, in my younger in my career, and part of the crazy creative studio. I worked at a company early in my career, and it was an amazing experience. Huge creative studio globally. I think we was like 90, 100 plus people, and it was such a chaotic, crazy, space with a lot going on. It's kind of all the tropes that you would think. Like back in the day, it was foosball, and the creative studio was always loud, playing music, and uh, yeah, doing the whole creative thing. And it's such a vastly different space. The team and the way that I operate here versus those early days, in the early 2000s, of how creative teams kind of should be run. And I'll tell you candidly, like just between you and me, Dave, uh, you
And
know,
our listeners,
uh,
and our viewers of BYB, of course.
yeah, of course. Wait, is this thing recorded then? And I'll tell you, like, I don't want to make it sound like this intercom is run in an extremely intense way, or that I run the creative team in a certain military type esque way. But I will say very different operation. For instance, we have these ICS Intercom Creative Studio, referred to as ICS. ICS tenants that we kind of live by. They're printed out huge on the wall. I'll actually take a picture of it. I've been meaning to take a picture of it, and I'll post it on my LinkedIn for anyone that's curious.
Awesome.
And it's quite honestly just like these 10 tenets that are very simple. They're actually they're rules that I have loosely, I say, loosely, in that I've loosely lived by these rules, but I've never really taken the time to kind of dissect them and write them down on paper up until a year ago or 6 months ago when I developed these tenets. And and it's simple things that anyone can take and use for their career, and just the way that they operate. I've used in my career, in the way that I've operated. And it's little things that make a big difference. It's things like, early is on time. It's things like leaders sit in the front. It's things like show up and be engaged. It's these simple, like, lessons and just ways to operate. Quite frankly, things that I saw in my dad when he was, as I was coming up, he was always, I thought it was normal to wake up at 4:15 in the morning and drive an hour plus to go to work every day. And now that I'm his age, when he was raising my brother and I, it's like, oh, that's not it. No, like, we're living in a dream world where most people come in at 9, 10, whatever it is. I know when I was younger in my creative, career, like coming in much later in the morning. But now, as a leader on the team, I want to lead by example, and I take this very seriously. I'm the first one at the office. I get here at 5:45 in the morning.
Wow.
I'm actually the second person in the office. The first person is the cleaning woman, who I've become very close with, and she's amazing. She's like the hardest worker at Intercom, is the cleaning woman here. And But I'm the first person. I'm here at 5:45. We're a global company. I meet with folks. I've got folks in London and Dublin. I meet with folks on their time, and then my team starts showing up at like 7:30, 8. I don't tell folks you've got to be here at a certain time. It's just the culture that we've established here. It's AI is now. It's changing every single day. Time is of the essence, and it's all about, from a leadership perspective, leading by example and showing that I'm not going to ask you guys to do something I wouldn't do. I'm going to be here first, bright and early, and pull very long hours. We come in 3 days a week, and I believe that stuff makes a difference. And the team is highly engaged. Highly motivated, and there's we of course are doing great work, but we also have fun doing it. It's not like it's a miserable place to work. It's extremely creative, extremely fun, but we're very serious. We The last thing I'll say about it, Dave, is like the whole kind of idea around the way this new version of the creative studio of ICS, because I've been here 6 years. I've quite literally ran six different versions of this team. This version of the team, the concept for it was truly based around this idea of the Intercom Creative Studio is going to be the example of how to operate at Intercom, not the exception. At every other company I've been at, the creative team is the exception to the rule. Everyone, we want you here at 9 a.m. Except for the creative team, they do whatever the hell they want. They're rolling in at 10, and like, and it's that's very fun, and I've been part of those creative teams. But at Intercom, the creative team is going to be the example of how to operate broadly at the company. Um, and that's what I try to do. I'm trying to lead by example, not just for the creatives, but for Intercom at large.
That's brilliant. It's so impressive to hear because, we have a lot of conversations on our podcasts and events that we run and people that we speak to about the difficulty sometimes that creative teams have in being a wider influence throughout the business. Because, in some organizations, especially historically, and maybe not so much now, but they've been seen as the coloring in department. The kind of they
Yeah.
just give them a design brief and they'll give you a nice infographic or whatever. But you guys really have the power and the problem solving nous and the influence, or really should have the influence to be able to, you know, influence, as I said, the entire organization, the way that they operate. And actually, it brings me on to kind of my last point, which I mentioned before about leadership. You just mentioned leadership there in terms of yourself, and it's so inspiring to hear, especially for the creative leaders out there. But in terms of you already mentioned that Owen is a stakeholder and a partner to kind of your
Mm.
creative team. Um, that must be great. Do you feel like you and your team and the leadership team, so to speak, including Owen, do you feel like you inspire each other to be a force for creativity throughout the business? Is that one of the great things about Intercom?
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, like it's not. I think something that's been a big one of the biggest kind of realizations in later on in my career has been the fact that the realization that I am not going to be the sole owner or responsible person to deliver the creative by myself. I'm not gonna. The burden is not on me alone to deliver the brand, to deliver the answer, the creative like solution, to deliver greatness. I thought when I was, younger in my career, like the creative director or whoever's heading up the creative team, that person is the creative answer. Everyone's going to look at that person. That person will solve every problem. Now, I think that can be true, and those people do exist. But more often than not, what I've seen is at Intercom, at a firm, the fintech company I was at before, at TaskRabbit, and so on and so forth. Like the thing that I've seen is. Uh, it's a partnership. It's you're working more often than not with the executives or an executive, whether it's a CMO or a CEO, but you're working in partnership and collaboration with the executives. And it's what has been really helpful is to work with Owen in this case, but also Paul Adams and Des Traynor and Emmett Connolly, the folks you can, like some folks that are either founders or have, Emmett's been here a very long time, but senior leadership. And and it's always the same. It's shaping this vision together, and it's a push and pull, and put something out there, and if they like it, they riff on it. I mean, you know how it goes, Dave. Like the when there's nothing better than in a creative brainstorm when that mind meld starts to happen, and there's a sweet science to that because you can't, from my experience, it feels like you can't capture that mind meld creative collaboration when it's really like it's palpable. You can like almost feel it. You can't capture it when you have six people in a room, and you can't capture it if there's like you're not on the same page with someone, or there's some sort of blocker there. But if you're comfortable with someone else and you know the person to some degree, and you can start to predict how they think and operate and where they're going to go. It's like jazz. I think it's very similar to playing music with folks. It's about predicting where it's going to go, riffing with someone, understanding their aesthetic and their tastes, and and then bringing, like I was saying, how my team will develop a system to a place that I hadn't envisioned, and it's very similar to this, in the brainstorming phase where you're like, oh shit, I didn't think about that, and that is brilliant. And sometimes just being the one to be like, that idea, there's a lot of ideas that come out of these rooms, and being able to say that idea is the one we need to nourish is also part of the job. Um, so yeah, I think it definitely does. I'd like to say goes back. It goes back and forth. We inspire them, hopefully, and they inspire us. But again, it's like at the end of the day, it's people coming together to create something cool. Quite frankly, like we want it to be something that we're proud of, whether it's experiential or it's a digital ad. Like we want it to be well crafted and exceptionally designed and thought through, and ultimately hit home for folks and make a difference. Like work, it's got to work, and so that experience can be different at the beginning, but the end result is always, the goal is always for it to move the needle, and hopefully we inspire our partners, and they certainly inspire us.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was such a beautiful place to end the conversation, actually, Scott, because, what we're trying to do here with Bring Your Own Bold as an event, obviously the top line mantra is building bolder brands. And we feel that's because B2B is getting there as a space, I suppose, but
Hmm.
there is so much more work to do. But fundamentally, amazing creativity is at the heart of that. But we can talk all day long about, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. But actually, fundamentally, it's how you do it and how that magic happens. Because you don't just click your fingers and you've got a bolder brand,
Yeah.
a more authentic brand, a more creative brand. We all believe in the power of brand, but we can't just click our fingers and it happens. Ultimately, it comes from deep collaboration from amazing people who really understand and are on a journey together. And I'm so happy that we got a little insight into how you guys do that, because I really truly believe that you're the best of the best when it comes to B2B brands, for sure, and even brands in general. So I really appreciate your time today, Scott. Thank you so much. It's been great to get an insight into how you work and how you've scaled the Intercom brand. I'm so thankful we got to do this.